Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast, presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Josh from MitsuTimes. Today, my guest is Mr. Vinny Moltari. He is the owner and driver of one of the sickest 1G front-wheel drives out there. How you doing today, Vinny?
We're doing good, brother. How about you?
I am great. It's always an honor. I mean, I feel like we've known each other for 20 years, even though we haven't known each other that long.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's definitely been a lot of good times, especially with the shootout and the World Cup,
Yep. Feels like we're following each other around, but, it must be for a good reason.
Yeah, a bunch of good reasons, right?
Yeah. So, Vinny, I mean, you kind of... You're going a different path, I would say. You don't see too many front-wheel drive guys anymore. I think, maybe I'm not in touch with a lot of the younger DSM crowd, but I feel like people are afraid to build a front-wheel drive DSM these days.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's for sure. People definitely see it, and they definitely shy away from it,
Yeah. I mean, I think we see the all-wheel drive build, so we just assume that the front-wheel drive builds, aren't worth it, which... I think MitsuTimes is a great testament to say it is worth it. I think maybe some of it has to do with, Kevin no longer campaigns his front-wheel drive 1G that a lot of the younger DSM guys maybe aren't familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, but, he was a big pioneer in that aspect,
For sure. And, I've been going to the shootout since 2007, haven't made them all, but even back then, seeing his front-wheel drive car in action was like, holy cow! This is not what we think of when we think of a front-wheel drive DSM.
Yeah, I've never been lucky enough to see that car in action in person, but just everything I've seen with the car and the videos and all the data from it, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, and I think a little bit has to contribute to. Maybe people thinking, wow, if I want to make my front-wheel drive fast, I'm going to have to do something to this extent. And I don't necessarily know that that's the case. I think you could still have a fast 1G or a fast front-wheel drive and still, have it mainly still fill stock.
Oh, for sure. You can do a whole bunch. I guess it all really depends on what your idea of fast is,
Yeah.
Everybody's got a different opinion,
That's true. Fast and quick are definitely, what do you call it? It's different to the individual, huh?
Oh, for sure. I mean, look at a guy like Nick or Rafe compared to just some random person,
Oh, yeah. Yep. So have somebody in the, 12.5 index take Rafe's Evo for a spin, and then their opinion of fast will change very quickly.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Make your car feel like a moped.
So, Vinny, let's talk about the setup on your front-wheel drive 1G.
All right. So, the setup as it was last season, I hate to say pretty simple, but it is. It's got batteries relocated to the front. It's a built engine, all GSC valve train, GSC cams. Just had a Zona rotor 8264S on full ethanol. FSC 2150s, custom intake manifold, X-clutch, twin disc, Quaife limited slip. Like I said, it was pretty simple last year. It was still on DSM Link.
Yeah.
I think it's actually got the mile-an-hour record for front-wheel drive on a DSM Link.
Nice.
I think I went 150, 152 or 153 at our home track. Stock axles, stock geometry, everything in the front, just on D2 coilovers. And a 13-inch weld wheel on 24.5 by 9.5 by 13 slick.
I think all-wheel drive guys don't appreciate how important the 13-inch wheel is to front-wheel drive guys.
Oh my God, it's crazy. It's funny because I've had people asked me like, "Oh, why do you run a 13?" I said, "Well, the more tire I can put on this thing, the better. You know,
Yeah.
the more rubber, because it really helps with a 60-foot."
Yeah. Yeah, front-wheel drive's a different world.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, man. A lot of thinking, a lot of trying to get it to work. There's a lot.
Got to kind of rethink what you know about cars.
Yeah, because you do everything. I hate to say opposite, but it might as well be compared to a rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive car.
Yeah, people, talk about getting the 50-50 weight distribution. You think, nah, I need all the weight out front.
Yeah, I know. Like a lot of the Honda guys, front-wheel drive guys, they're running like 80-20.
Yep. 80
front, 20 in the rear.
You see that's one of the best parts of World Cup for me is you get to see so many different cars. And then I walk past the Speed Factory, and you see them pick up the back of their car and move it around. Like, man, that's so cool to see.
Oh yeah, those guys are on another level, man.
Yeah.
That car is insane.
Yeah,
it's absolutely insane.
I know this is a Mitsubishi podcast, but I'm pretty excited they're switching to sequential. They're going to get everything that there is to get out of that car this year. That's going to be sick.
Yeah, I'm really curious as to one, why they did that, and two, how the people are going to feel about it, because it's not technically an H pattern anymore.
Right. I'm glad it'll take him out of Devin's and Mike's category at World Cup, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they're definitely they're a force to be reckoned with in a stick shift.
People love to see him take down the Demon or the Gas Stroker.
Oh yeah, there's a little bit of a friendly competition there, I think.
So Vinny, what is it that got you into the 1G platform?
Oh man. Well, I live in the Northeast, so like, it sounds funny, but the older cars, the 90 through 94, the 1Gs, are always cleaner up here for some reason.
Huh.
Yeah, I always had them. They're always less rust, better taken care of. But mainly when I was younger, they were a lot cheaper than the 2Gs, and maybe just the looks. They look a lot more aggressive than a 2G.
For sure.
A lot more of that 80s, 90s vibe, which I really like. They look more like a race car.
For sure, yeah. Pointy at the front, I always say.
Yeah, pointy at the front.
It's got to be
good body lines.
Yep. And good friend Sean, the other 1G front wheel drive guy, likes to point out that the 1G has the door frames, so it's meant to be a race car.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. They do, for sure. It definitely helps a bit.
So Vinny, we've talked about it a lot already, but why do why do a build to this extent on a front wheel drive?
Well, I mean, it's a couple of different reasons, really. One, for me, it's very fun and challenging, which I like that. If it was easy, I don't think it'd be fun.
Right.
And it's very unique because, like we talked about, not a lot of people are doing it. Like ever since Kigley stopped, there's not really any really fast guys doing it.
Yeah.
Less moving parts, technically. It's a lot more simple on the mechanical aspect of it. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a whole like a fast front wheel drive car going on the track is an experience, man. Like it's something else.
Especially when it hooks up.
Oh yeah, third and fourth gear, dude. It's a party.
Yeah.
I remember when we turned it all the way up at the shootout this year. I was like, oh man, we're partying now.
It's definitely something that even the all-wheel drive loyals, they need to experience at least once.
Oh yeah, I tell anybody if they can hop in a front wheel drive car and go for a ride, just definitely do it because it's a good time.
Yeah.
Whether on the street or on the track, it's a good time.
So Vinny, man, what was this car like when you first picked it up?
All right, so when I first got the car, I got this 1G probably 3 to 4 years ago. Got it from one of my good friends, Turbo Tony.
Oh, nice.
And it was a stock engine, stock trans, just with head studs in the engine. 16G, real old school setup on DSM link with a single disc and old school precision injectors. fuel pressure regulator. Yeah, it was running like pretty much wastegate closed all the time on a 16G. So like, I don't know, maybe like 30 to 32 pounds of boost. It was just a street car, open diff,
Like, yeah.
full interior. It was a blast at that power level, but just the bug, you can't stop.
Right. I bet from a roll that thing was a monster.
It's funny because I do a lot of street stuff with the car too. A lot of roll racing especially, and when this thing had a 16G on it, I could race cars that made double the horsepower, but because of how fast it spooled up with the 16G,
Yeah.
it'd be at 30 pounds if I brake boosted for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So it'd just leave really hard and they'd have to come around me. Whereas with like a big turbo car, it's kind of laggy. The 16G was just right there all the time.
I've talked about this before on here, but I hate that the thing to do nowadays is get a DSM, throw a 62 or whatever large turbo is on there instead of the older phase of 16G and then 20G and then maybe an FP bolt on or whatever. Like, people don't get to experience how great of a turbo the 16G is.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny. Like, I tell everybody now, like, if I was to build a street car just to have fun with and just drive around, it would be probably like a HTA 68.
Yes.
On ethanol and just stick car, front wheel drive with a twin disc, and it'd be the most fun.
Yeah. One of the reasons, not to self-promote here, but one of the reasons I wanted to do those micro records that you can now find on MitsuTimes is I want people to go back and throw a 14B on or throw a 16G on and try to go for whatever your platform's 14B, 16G record is, because that would be so much fun.
Oh yeah, it'd be cool, kind of like a homage to like the old timers that were doing this for a long time,
Yeah, and who knows, you might break a record that's been there for 14, 15, 20 years.
Well, that's the thing. Like, technology has come so far now as far as turbochargers and fuel injectors and like ECUs. It's crazy now.
Yeah, for sure. Crazy what they did back then with, a Palm Pilot, SAFC.
Oh God, yeah. I think about that stuff now, and I'm like, oh man. Yeah. It looks like it's like a decoration at this point.
For sure. Yeah. So, Vinny, after you started to get the bug and want to go faster, did you have any goals in mind? Like, man, I got to hit this number, or I want to make this much power?
I'd say, like, after I bought the car, I just enjoyed it and streeted it for a while, and then like going to the track with my friend Tony, who I bought the car from. It just kind of progressively, like, the goals got bigger. Originally, I'd say the main goal with the car was to just break into the 10s. And then just have fun on the street and track. But the main goal was to get it into the 10s as a front-wheel drive car.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, what did it feel like that moment when you reached that goal for the first time?
So it's funny, right? Like I said, I had the car for 3 or 4 years, so it didn't actually technically break into the 10s until this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it escalated really quickly. But it was great. But like the setup that's on it now, or that was on it this past season anyway, like it went 10s and I was like, because it just had so much more potential.
Right.
And I knew it did. So I was just kind of like, all right, we got to keep going,
I assumed you'd been running 10s for a while because you just seemed so comfortable making those passes. I mean, you were doing it almost with ease, I would say.
Yeah, no, it was this year really, because I made a lot of changes last winter that really helped the car just work better.
So, Vinny, besides the 16G and the turbo that you ran in 2023, has there been any other setups that you've gone through that maybe you really liked?
Oh, yeah. So I had the 16G first, and that was pump gas, stock, single disc trans, a single disc clutch, stock trans, no diff. And then from there, I bought from Tony also. I bought a 3065R.
Okay.
Old school Force Performance bolt-on Garrett. I put that on. That was on pump gas. And actually, not this past year, but the year prior at the shootout, that's what I brought. And that setup was super fun. Like, it was super enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Quick spool, made good power. And then I did my first or second qualifying run the previous year at the shootout. And it sucked the O2 sensor harness into the turbo.
Oh.
So it destroyed the turbo. Luckily, Rob from Force Performance had a FP Red there. So I ended up buying that. And then that went on the car on pump gas with the twin disc and all kinds of stuff. And then, other than that, on this car, I just went to the Zona for this year.
Yeah.
And that's now it's full ethanol and everything now.
Heck yeah. So maybe this is an obvious question, but is it the Zona that broke you into the nines for the first time?
Yeah, it was the Zona that did that. Yep.
Okay.
In Ohio, it went 983 at 150, I think it was. Yeah, it was on 52 pounds, 54 pounds of boost.
Wow. So, Vinny, I have to ask, after having a goal of a 10-second pass, how did that first 9 feel?
Oh, dude, it was sick. Well, so funny story about that, really. So, it was actually, I think I went up against Nate in TPG in his WRX, if I remember right.
Oh, okay.
And the pass felt good, but so in fourth gear, about halfway through fourth gear, the car just started like misfire really bad, and the check engine light came on, so it was picking up knock, and it just shut off. I was like, well, that's weird. So it shut off about like the 1,000 foot on that pass.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh man, I don't know what's going on. So the car shut off. It was a real chore to get the thing slowed down and stopped in order to make the turn off the track. I pull over just before we get to your slip booth and try to start it, and it sounds like it's dead. Like it sounds like the engine crapped its pants all over the track. So I was like, huh, that's weird. So I hop out, it's smoking, and I look in the exhaust, and it's all wet. I'm like, what the heck's going on? I pop the hood. There's no holes in anything. And I look, because the exhaust comes out the driver's side bumper on this. And I look, and there's coolant just shot out of the exhaust. Like, all the coolant exited through the exhaust. So I was like, huh, that's weird. So whatever. I call my buddies. I was like, hey, I need to tow back to the pit, whatever. I didn't know how fast I went at this point. My buddy Pete, outside Pete, he comes down on his little scooter and he hands me his slip. And he's like, yeah, man, it wasn't that good of a pass. It was like it's like a 12-second pass. I was like, there's no way that this is the pass that it was. I was like, it was going way too fast for that. So, and they're all like nonchalant, just like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And then they're like, nah, buddy, here's your slip. And it was the 983. And I was like, I was pretty excited about that.
So what was it that made all the coolant come out the exhaust?
It lifted the head.
Oh.
Yeah, torched the head that I had on there. Blew the head gasket. So then, like, it wasn't really much time for celebration because we were going into eliminations the following day.
Yeah.
So I had to pull the head and everything that night and get it all done for Sunday.
Got to get some L19 head studs for 2024.
It has L19s in it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's just I think the hot side on that turbo is too small and it created a lot of back pressure.
Oh, okay. Man. So, Vinny, if you could start back over that 3 or 4 years ago and do this build again, would you do everything the same way you did it?
Yeah, I think so, man, honestly, because it gave me a lot of time as a driver to grow with the car.
Yeah.
And go faster and like experience different levels of the car. And I didn't really I kind of had to work for it, I didn't really get it handed to me. Just slap a big turbo on it and go fast for the first time. Especially being front wheel drive, it's really hard to do that. But yeah, I would definitely do it again. It was a great process, and we're just getting started. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, you know, I'm sure people don't realize, but you're one of the only 1G manual front wheel drive guys out there racing right now.
Yeah, I mean, even just manual front wheel drive DSMs in general.
Yeah.
I think the record's held by that guy in like, was it Qatar or something with that silver 2G?
Yeah. Let's see, what is it? 8.6.
Is it 8.6 or 8.8? I can't remember.
8.6 and 168.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, I'm not discrediting his run, but I mean, that's damn near a pro mod.
Yeah, exactly. That's a legit car. It's really, 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 really set up.
You see some wheelie bars on a front wheel drive, they mean business.
You know, it's funny. I thought about putting them on my car, but I'm like, I'm just curious to see how far we can do it, like as it sits now, before I have to do any like drastic changes. You know,
just keep the weight from shifting.
Yeah, that's it.
So, Vinny, I mean, you know, it hasn't been easy to, you know, make that 9-second pass. And, you know, what is it about this car that motivates you to keep going with it instead of being like, well, you know, I've done put way too much money into it. I'm going to switch to a different platform or something.
Oh, man. Well, I've been a DSM guy for ever since I could drive. I've had a bunch of them. But like, I love this car. It's a great time. It's a fun car, nice car, clean car, easy to work on. But as far as like to continue, I'd say a lot of it for me is like, a lot of people are kind of like, oh, you're kind of crazy for doing front wheel drive or doing manual, this, that, the third. That's one thing that really keeps me going. Like, cause I like proving people wrong.
Yeah.
Or being able to do something that they're like, oh, that probably can't be done, you know?
For sure. Yeah.
Aside from that, like just cars in general, I think about like being that young kid that like saw that car driving down the road and like, man, I think it's sweet. And like, you kind of do it for that too.
Yeah.
And then aside from that, all my boys, the Wild Evo, RRT, all those guys, you know, they're always helping me out, encouraging me.
Yeah. Ain't none of those guys gonna let you quit. That's for damn sure.
Hell no. And that's people you need around you when you're trying to do stuff like this, for sure.
Yeah.
This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by Evo Spec Performance. Evo Spec Performance specializes in complete plug-and-play, drop-in ready fuel systems that support mild to wild setups ranging from 500 horsepower all the way to 1,200 plus horsepower. They carry complete DSM and Evo titanium hardware kits. Compared to factory hardware, Evo Spec's titanium kits are 50% lighter, stronger, as well as rust and corrosion resistant. They offer custom billet machine parts that focus on increasing performance, efficiency, weight reduction, and give that unique custom finished look that you expect. Find out more about their products and services at evospecperformance.com.
So, Vinny, what's the goals for 2024, man? I know you got this, you know, a whole new setup, really a whole new car.
Yeah, it's a lot of changes. A lot of good changes. I would say goal for 2024 is to win and race events, and just compete.
Yeah.
Break personal bests, man. Like, I don't know if it's a goal for 2024. I mean, we'll see how this does.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to seem overzealous, but like, I want to put the car in the 8s as a H-pattern front wheel drive car.
I don't think that's overzealous at all.
No, and I mean, we're definitely going to have the power to do it now. Like, it should definitely have the capability to do so with the setup it has on it now.
Yeah. Awesome. Vinny, I mean, this is not something I prepared you for, but something I wanted to start with you for the rest of the podcast for, you know, up until the shootout is what's your shootout plans? Like, what class you plan to race in, all that?
Shootout plans, I think we're going to do Street 32 again.
Okay.
Yeah, we made it to the semis last year in Street 32. Got knocked out by Brent. And yeah, I think we got some unfinished business in that class. I think we can do pretty well.
Got knocked out by Brandon Mile?
Yeah, Brandon Mao. Yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, it was in the quarters. It was me and him, and then the other white
Kevin.
1G, Kevin Collins. Yeah, I can't remember who he raced, but
So,
yeah, some stiff competition.
oh, for sure. I mean, especially when you consider Brandon and Kevin's car almost the exact same car, and they're extremely reliable.
Oh yeah, all-wheel drive autos, man. They just work.
Yeah, it's tough. So, Vinny, what would you say is your long-term goal with this car? Is there a number you want to hit? Is there a spot on MitsuTimes you want to get? Like, what's the plans?
Well, so there's two real long-term goals with the car. One, take the front-wheel drive manual record back to the States.
Yep.
And two is to qualify for Main Street at World Cup.
Yes, love that.
Yeah, that's the long-term goal. How long-term? Don't know. Really just depends how well this setup works with all the changes we did, and we'll see what it does. I'm really curious and anxious to get out there and see what happens.
Maybe one day the Miller brothers will give us an X front-wheel drive class.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. It would make it, I wouldn't want to say easier to make the car work for that, but the X front-wheel drive guys get a little more leeway than to put them front-wheel drive into Main Street.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Main Street's not easy anyways, but, either way, it would, no matter what, World Cup's never going to be easy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it,
Right.
And like, the car is kind of, it's getting built towards those class rules at this point.
Yeah. Good deal. Want to see more Mitsubishis there for sure.
Oh, 100%, man.
Although it sucks Rafe will lose a crew guy, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we still help each other out for sure.
Yeah. But who's going to stay up till 2 a.m., replacing clutches?
Well, hopefully we have that ironed out this year and we don't have to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, that was quite the time.
So, Vinny, we kind of talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but let's say I got my 1G front-wheel drive. I go to the shootout, but I see all these all-wheel drive guys, so I really think it's not worth building. And I see you at the shootout. I see Joe at the shootout, and I think, you know what? I could really do this thing. What advice would you give me for my build, going forward so I could be as successful as possible?
Well, I mean, obviously we'll go your normal route with a DSM, right? Your maintenance, all your maintenance, your engine stuff, obviously, but bushings and mounts. You want that chassis on a front-wheel drive to be as stiff as you can make it, essentially, and be able to control it. I would say one of the first things I would do would be a Quaife LSD in the transmission.
Yep.
I'd say that was probably the most notable difference as far as changing a part on the car. It changed the car into something completely different. Because when this thing was open diff on the street, it was real sketchy. Like making probably 450, 500 horse with open diff, it would just rip you into the other lane. Whereas like with the Quaife, you floor it even now on the street, it'll still annihilate the tires, but it just goes straight, goes perfectly straight.
Good.
Another thing that's really big is stay away from a single disc clutch. And it sounds hard because nobody really produces a clutch for a front wheel drive anymore as a twin disc.
Mm-hmm.
But you can make an all wheel drive twin disc work in a front wheel drive transmission. It requires a little modification of the bell housing on the front wheel drive trans, but you can make it work, and it is very helpful as far as shifting a high RPM, which is where you need to be in a front wheel drive or a front wheel drive car. And I mean, just slicks, good slicks. 13-inch wheel, probably by 10.
Yep.
And M&H or Mickey Thompson. Just a good slick and a lot of testing to make it work.
Don't be buying those 26 by 8.5s off your all-wheel drive buddies. They ain't gonna do you no good.
Well, yeah, and then if you go to like a full size 26-inch slick, you'll probably break the transmission if you don't have a dog box.
Break something, that's for sure.
Oh, and another thing, run a 1G trans. Like, originally when I got the car, we had a second-gen transmission in the car.
Yeah.
And as soon as you'd hit third gear, it'd blow third gear apart.
No
as soon as
kidding.
it got traction. The 1G trans is a lot stronger,
Wow.
for sure.
So a little bit different than the autos.
Yeah, it's funny, right? It's almost opposite.
That's interesting. So, Vinny, have you had any other Mitsubishis in the past you want to talk about?
Oh man, yeah. Man, my first car was a 99 GS Eclipse. I've had probably, I don't know, 5 or so 2G non-turbo cars.
Nice.
I had that dark green 99 GSX.
Beautiful.
I had 2 front-wheel drive 1990 Laser RSs. The Laser, I had a red 1990 RS. That was my first 1G. That was a fun car. I had that for a while. I had let's see, 96 Auto TSI all-wheel drive. And I have another one currently that I'm working on. I have a 91 Talon TSI all-wheel drive, automatic, that I'm kind of messing with. It's going to be like a street car-ish, maybe 1050 type car.
It's like, it's weird, after building a race car, you want to go back and build a street car.
Yeah, man, it's funny. Everybody's like, everybody wants a race car. I'm like, you're probably going to have more fun in the street car.
Yeah.
Unless you're really about it. You know, you really got to go to events and really enjoy the car.
Yeah.
Because my car right now is just, my car right now is just like, it's a handful on the street. Like, it's a chore, really.
Golly. So just to stir up the 1G guys, Eclipse, Talon, or Laser, which one looks the best?
Oh, man. As for 1GA, I'd say Talon. 1GB, I'd say Eclipse.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. There's partial preference because mine's an Eclipse.
There you go. So, Vinny, what events can we see this amazing machine in action at in 2024?
All right. Obviously, we got a lot of testing in our local track here. The same track me, Rafe, and Nick go to. It's all the same. I'm only like 45 minutes, 50 minutes away from the track.
And that's Lebanon Valley?
Yep, Lebanon Valley. The shootout is definitely in the cards this year. Import face-off at Lebanon Valley for sure. We're hoping to make it to import face-off at Epping in New Hampshire. I'll be at the Wild Evo RRT channel 100%.
Yep.
Testing 2 nights and stuff like that, obviously, throughout the year. And like I mentioned to you before we started here, there's a big no prep event going on at Lebanon Valley. It's pretty cool. They have a small tire class and they have 2 front wheel drive quarter-mile classes. And they have a front wheel drive quarter-mile class for a power adder and front wheel drive all motor class. So that's really the first big event I want to make this year. Other than that, not too much. I'll be at World Cup with Rafe and Nick for sure, just because I don't know, the car probably won't qualify for that this year. I can't imagine. If it does, I'll be stoked. But and I know we talked about a while ago maybe going to FL2K with the boys, but
Yeah.
I haven't really touched base on that, so I'm curious to see what was on.
It's a tough timeline because it's like there's 3 big events right there next to each other.
They're all back to back, man. It makes it really tough to not only make it, but get the time off of work and all kinds of stuff,
Yeah. The big guys like to talk about it one is the stepping stone for the next, but it's tough when you're breaking stuff in between.
Yeah, it's hard to keep the car together and be ready for the next event.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, like, especially now, we're really pushing the limits of a factory block, I feel like.
Yeah.
One, because of the power it'll make, and two, because of the RPM. Because, I mean, we're revving this thing to 10,000, 10.5.
Man. So, Vinny, where can people find and follow this machine on social media and maybe ask you some questions about their own front-wheel drive build?
Yeah, I mean, on Facebook, it's just Vinny Moltari, just my name. And then Instagram, it's _ DSM _ Vin. Other than that, I don't do YouTube or none of that stuff. It's just, I kind of just post to there, keep updates on there with the car.
Gotcha.
Or if you see me at the track, just come up, say what's up.
There you go.
You know?
Ask you some questions in person. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely willing to help out. I mean, I work on stuff too, just on the side a little bit, but mostly I don't really have time to work on other people's stuff at this point. I just usually working on my own stuff.
Gotcha. Well, Vinny, at the end, I always give people a chance to give a thanks or a shout out to anybody who's helped them get where they are, get their car where it is. Is there anybody that you want to give a thanks or a shout out to?
Oh, man. Where to start? Obviously, I mean, Turbo Tony has been a real good friend of mine. One of the guys that got me into this stuff. And he's always helped me out with anything I need along the way. Kenny at Just a Tune. Dude's the man. He's always helping me out with all the over-the-air spicy updates I need. Any parts I need, always help me out getting them and finding them, or just getting everything ready for that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Nick and the Wild Boys, all those guys, big family of great dudes. Love them. They're always helping. Rafe and Minty is his mechanic, dude. Great dudes. We're just like really like you guys see us at the track. We're just like a big family, a bunch of dudes just having a good time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's important. That's why I think everybody just keeps. You know, I think if you didn't have that around you, you wouldn't continue to do it.
Yeah.
Some others, I would say all my boys from like my hometown area, Mo, Brock, Louie. Man, he's just everybody. There's a ton of them. Mark, we got my powder coat guy, Mark. He does a phenomenal job. You'll see this year that the car's gonna look pretty crazy. Who else? Let's see. My boys Pearson and Damien, they're always down to give me a hand if I need anything. I would say Nick at Fagnoli Variety. He just did the cage and the chassis work, made the traction bars. He's making the catch pan, making everything for the car. And then we got Rolo at Supreme Performance, it's a local shop here. Some other stuff, if I can't find it, a lot of places he'll be able to find it for me, help me out. Chris Boone at Real Street, he hooked me up and helped me get the Ross Machine throttle body I needed for the new intake manifold and stuff. Kigley Racing, great guys, just making killer parts, always helping out. Magnus, same thing, always making amazing parts, keeping the community going. And then I'd say you, man, for just keeping this going, keeping the electric around the car, you know, keeping everybody excited and interested and engaged with the community, and keeping up, like, kind of have something to shoot for, you know, making everybody have kind of a goal-oriented thing. It really makes a big change for a lot of people. It really makes a lot of people keep wanting to do it.
Well, thank you.
Of course, man. Yeah, a lot of people I think wouldn't really know about the cars if you weren't doing it. So we definitely appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate it. That's a big motivation for me to keep supporting you guys, and hopefully you keep doing it and breaking records and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, man, it's crazy because I have a lot of buddies that are in other makes and models, like a lot of Honda buddies.
Yeah.
They like to race and stuff, but they don't have this type of community. Like, that's one thing they always tell me, because one of my buddies who always helps me work on the car, he's a Honda guy, and he's like, dude, your guys' community is way more close-knit than the Honda guys. There's not, like, really a lot of animosity. Everybody kind of works together, you know?
Yeah. It's I've never been in other communities, but sometimes I join other Facebook groups to try to promote the shootout or whatever events, and then I see how toxic it is in there, and I'm like, oh, okay, wow, this is not what I'm used to.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy coming from this community to deal with another one. It's like I mean, everybody's thought about it. Like, look at how easy it is to make these Hondas go fast front wheel drive.
Yeah.
You can cut a Honda up, make it weigh nothing, buy an engine, put it together, and go run 8s. There's no ingenuity. They make all the off-the-shelf parts. They make everything for them.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, it's kind of a challenge because you got to, like, think outside of the box.
Yep, for sure. And, it seems, to me, the Mitsubishi community has always done great at not gatekeeping, trying to propel one another up to the top with them and having a good competition out of that. That's really what improves, the reason that Devin runs 6s is because, Aaron runs a low 7 and because Mike Roller runs low 7s. I mean, you got to have somebody up there pushing you.
Yeah, and it's crazy because all these guys, they're all cool people. You go talk to them, they'll tell you anything you want to know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
it comes like I was saying about like Kigley and Magnus and all those guys. Like they don't just hide stuff. You know what I mean? Like if Kigley figures something out that's gonna make a huge change in the community, they're gonna let people know because they're like part of the community. They're not just making parts for it.
Yep. I mean, hell, look at them. We've been trying to figure out what to do with the planetaries for the transmissions for a long time, and then,
I know. I'm like, man, that's gonna make a huge change in the cars, especially like you see, Rich Ong, Aaron Gregory.
Yep.
Like, that's another guy. If you're talking shout outs, Ong, he's an amazing dude.
Yeah.
Just stand up guy. He's awesome.
Gotta love Ong.
Dude, he's so good. He's a cool ass dude.
Well, Vinny, I appreciate you taking the time to come on here and tell your story. I hope that we can inspire some more front-wheel drive guys, 1G, 2G, 3G, whatever you have out there to hit the track and have fun with your car. Get it on the MitsuTimes list, and hopefully we'll see you at the shootout.
Hell yeah, man. For sure. I'll definitely be there.
All right, buddy. Well, I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. I'll talk soon.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.